Captain Jake Morrison felt his stomach twist as the USS Liberty approached the massive alien space station. The thing was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. It looked like a giant metal flower with 12 petals, each one belonging to a different alien race. Strange lights flickered across its surface, and Jake could see hundreds of ships moving around it like busy insects. "First time seeing aliens up close, Captain," said Commander Ryan Brooks, standing beside him on the bridge. His voice was steady, but Jake could hear the nervousness underneath. "First time for all of us," Jake replied, watching the viewscreen. 3 months ago, Earth had received a message from something called the Galactic Council. They wanted to meet humanity's representatives. Now Jake was here with Ambassador Lisa Carter and her team, about to make history. The communications officer, Jenny Walsh, looked up from her station. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the station. They're telling us where to dock." "Put it through," Jake said. A strange voice filled the bridge. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Human vessel, you will dock at port 7. Your weapons will be disabled. Any resistance will result in immediate destruction." Jake frowned. That didn't sound very diplomatic. "Send our response, Jenny. Tell them we're here for peaceful talks." "Ambassador." Carter stepped forward. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Captain, I don't like how this is starting. They're treating us like prisoners, not guests." "I know," Jake said quietly, "but we need to see what they want. Earth is counting on us." The Liberty moved slowly toward the docking port. Jake could see alien workers moving around outside wearing strange suits that looked like they were made of liquid metal. They had too many arms and their heads were the wrong shape. Some had tentacles instead of legs. "Docking complete," reported the helmsman, Pete Johnson. "All systems showing green. Weapons are powered down as requested," added the weapons officer, Tony Martinez. "But Captain, their security scans are really deep. They're looking at everything?" "We have," Jake nodded. "That was expected." He just hoped they wouldn't find anything too interesting. An hour later, Jake found himself walking through corridors that hurt to look at. The walls seemed to bend in directions that shouldn't exist, and the air smelled like burning electronics. Ambassador Carter walked beside him, along with Commander Brooks and 2 security guards. They entered a vast chamber that was clearly meant to intimidate. The ceiling stretched up so high it disappeared into darkness. Around the edges stood 12 different types of aliens, each one stranger than the last. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Others were short and wide with too many eyes. A few looked like they were made of living rock. In the center of the room sat the biggest alien Jake had ever seen. It was blue-green with 4 arms and a head that looked like a squid. When it spoke, its voice boomed through the chamber. "So, these are the humans," it said, sounding amused. "I am Chancellor Vextel of the Zephyrian Empire, leader of the Galactic Council. You are much smaller than we expected." Ambassador Carter stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Chancellor, I am Ambassador Lisa Carter, representing Earth and all humanity. We're honored to meet you and the other members of the Council." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Chancellor Vextel's tentacles writhed in what looked like amusement. "Honored?" the Chancellor repeated. "How quaint. Do you know why we summoned you here, little humans?" "We assumed you wanted to establish diplomatic relations," Carter replied. Carefully. "Diplomatic relations," the Chancellor said, and more alien laughter filled the chamber. "No, small one, we summoned you to give you terms. Your species will surrender all military assets to the Council. You will accept tributary status under Zephyrian rule. 60% of your population will be relocated to work colonies throughout the galaxy." Jake felt his blood turn cold. These weren't negotiations. This was a demand for surrender. Ambassador Carter kept her voice calm. "Chancellor, I'm sure we can find a solution that works for everyone. Humanity has much to offer the galaxy in terms of trade and cooperation." "Trade?" The Chancellor's voice turned sharp. "You barely evolved primates have nothing we want. Your technology is primitive. Your culture is worthless. Your only value is as laborers." "We're not accepting those terms," Carter said firmly. We came here hoping to join the galactic community as equals, not as slaves. The chamber fell silent. Then Chancellor Vexthal began to laugh, a sound like metal tearing. The other aliens joined in, creating a horrible chorus that echoed off the walls. Equals, the Chancellor gasped between laughs. You think you're our equals? You've been in space for what, 50 years? We've ruled the galaxy for 10,000. Your entire civilization is nothing but a brief moment in our history. The Chancellor stood up, towering over the human delegation. Let me make this clear, little mammals. You will accept our terms, or you will be cleansed from the galaxy. We have destroyed 1,000 species who thought they were too good to serve. What makes you think you're different? Jake watched Carter's face harden. And what makes you think we'll just roll over and die? Because, the Chancellor said, leaning down until his face was close to Carter's, we are superior in every way. Our ships are faster, our weapons are stronger. Our technology is beyond your comprehension. You have 1 solar cycle to comply. If you refuse, we will turn your pretty blue world into cosmic dust. 1 year, Carter said. You're giving us 1 year to surrender or be destroyed. Exactly, use that time wisely. Prepare your people for their new lives as servants. It will be easier for everyone if you cooperate. Jake felt his hands clench into fists. He'd never wanted to hit someone so badly in his life. But he stayed. Still, and kept recording everything with his hidden camera. We'll take your message back to Earth, Carter said. But I can already tell you what the answer will be. Oh? The Chancellor sounded interested. And what might that be? Carter looked up at the massive alien with steel in her eyes. Go to. Hell, the walk back to the Liberty felt like walking through a nightmare. Jake could hear the aliens laughing behind them, and he knew they were already planning Earth's destruction. But he also knew something else. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and survived. They would find a way to fight back as the Liberty pulled away from the station. Jake turned to Ambassador Carter. So what do we tell Earth? Carter was quiet for a moment, watching the alien station shrink in the distance. We tell them the truth. We tell them that diplomacy failed. And we tell them to get ready for war. Jenny Walsh looked up from her communications station. Captain, I've got a message from Earth Command. They want a full report as soon as possible, Jake nodded. Send everything we recorded, every word, every gesture, every threat. Let them see exactly what we're dealing with. As the Liberty jumped to faster than light speed, heading home to Earth, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they'd just started something that would change the galaxy forever. The aliens thought humanity would just surrender. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The news hit Earth like a nuclear bomb. Every television, radio, and internet connection carried the same message. Aliens existed, they had found humanity, and they wanted to enslave or destroy them. The recorded meeting between Ambassador Carter and Chancellor Vexthal played on every screen across the planet. President Helen Rodriguez sat in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by military leaders and scientists. The room was packed with the most powerful people on Earth, but they all looked scared. Everyone except General Frank Parker, who looked angry enough to bite through steel. 1 year, the President said, her voice tight. They gave us 1 year to surrender or die. Then we fight, General Parker said simply. We've never backed down from bullies before. We won't start now. Admiral Susan Blake leaned forward across the table. Frank, be realistic. They've been in space for 10,000 years. We've barely made it past our own moon. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Maybe, said a quiet voice from the corner. Everyone turned to look at Dr. Kevin Turner, Earth's top physicist. He was a thin man with messy hair who always looked like he'd forgotten to sleep. Actually, I don't think their technology is as advanced as they claim. Explain, President Rodriguez said. Dr. Turner walked to the front of the room and pulled up a holographic display. I've been studying the alien recordings for the past week. Look at their ships, their station, their equipment. It's all very impressive, but it's also wasteful and inefficient. He pointed to images from the alien space station. See these power conduits? They're using brute force instead of elegant solutions. And their ships are huge because they need massive reactors to power inefficient systems. So what are you saying? Admiral Blake asked. I'm saying they got comfortable. They've been the biggest fish in the pond for so long that they stopped trying to improve. Meanwhile, we've been fighting wars, competing, innovating. We've had to make every resource count. Dr. Turner brought up another image. 3 months ago, we achieved controlled fusion. Not the messy, dangerous kind they use, but clean, efficient fusion. Our prototype reactors are actually more advanced than theirs. The room fell silent. General Parker was the first to speak. You're saying we might actually have a chance? I'm saying we have more than a chance. I'm saying we might be ahead of them in some areas. They just don't know it yet. President Rodriguez stood up. Then we build a fleet. We build the biggest, most advanced fleet in human history. And we show these aliens that humanity doesn't kneel to anyone? Admiral Blake nodded slowly. We'll need every shipyard on Earth working around the clock. Every factory, every resource, every person. And that's what we'll do, the president said. General Parker, I want you to coordinate with every military force on the planet. Admiral Blake, start designing our ships. Dr. Turner, I want you to head up the science division. We're going to build something that will make those aliens regret. Ever threatening Earth, General Parker smiled grimly. What do we call this fleet? President Rodriguez thought for a moment. The Fukoff Armada. Because that's exactly what we're telling them. Within hours, the entire planet was mobilizing. Every news channel carried the same message from President Rodriguez. Earth was not surrendering. Earth was going to fight back. And every human being had a part to play. In Detroit, engineer Pete Johnson was redesigning car factories to build spaceship hulls. We built tanks in World War II, he told his workers. Now we're building spaceships. Same principle, bigger enemy. In Mexico City, factory worker Maria Santos was organizing production teams. She had worked in electronics manufacturing for 20 years, but now she was learning to build fusion reactors. My grandmother fought in the revolution, she told her team. Now it's our turn to fight for freedom. In Houston, test pilot Amy Clark was studying the first prototype ship designs. The engineering was incredible. Human ships would be smaller than alien vessels, but faster, more maneuverable, and much more efficient. It's like comparing a sports car to a truck, she told Dr. Turner. They have power, but we have speed. Dr. Turner was working 8-hour days, coordinating with scientists from every country. The breakthrough came when programmer Alex Kim figured out how to combine human creativity with computer processing. Our AI will be different from theirs, he explained. Theirs just follows rules. Ours will think, adapt, and learn. Meanwhile, the aliens were watching Earth through long-range sensors. They saw the massive construction projects, the fleets of ships being built, and the planet-wide mobilization. But they weren't worried. They were amused. Chancellor Vexthal was reviewing the reports in his palace on the Zephyrian homeworld. The humans are building toys, he told his advisors. Primitive ships that will break apart the moment they enter. Real combat. Should we be concerned about their numbers? Asked Admiral Kethmar, commander of the observation fleet. Numbers mean nothing without quality, the Chancellor replied. 1,000,000 insects cannot defeat a single bird. Deploy your fleet to Earth's solar system. Let them see our ships up close. Perhaps the sight of real military power will convince them to surrender early. Back on Earth, the construction continued at an incredible pace. The first prototype ships were ready for testing after just 4 months. Amy Clark took the HMS Defiance on its maiden voyage, pushing the engines to their limits. The ship moved faster than anything humanity had ever built. Speed test complete, she reported to Mission Control. We're hitting velocities that should be impossible according to their technology. Dr. Turner smiled as he watched the test data. That's because we're not using their technology. We're using ours. The prototype weapons were even more impressive. Engineer Sam Mitchell had taken industrial mining lasers and modified them for combat. If it can cut through asteroids, he said, it can cut through alien ships. Marine Colonel Nick Thompson was training soldiers for a new kind of warfare. We're not just fighting on planets anymore, he told his troops. We're fighting in space. In zero gravity, in conditions no human has ever faced before. But we're still Marines, and Marines adapt. By month 6, the first squadron of ships was ready. Fleet Admiral Carl Davis took command of the fleet from the flagship EWS Retribution. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Beth Williams, was a former video game champion who treated space combat like a three-dimensional puzzle. The aliens think in straight lines, she explained to her crew. They fight like they're still on a planet's surface, but space is three-dimensional. We can attack from any angle, any direction. The alien observation fleet arrived in Earth's solar system during month 7. Admiral Kethmore was confident that the sight of Zephyrian warships would terrify the humans into submission. Instead, he found something unexpected. The humans weren't running, they weren't hiding. They were building faster than ever, and their ships were starting to look dangerous. Impossible, Admiral Kethmore muttered as he watched human ships conducting training exercises. Those speeds shouldn't be possible with their technology. His sensor officer looked up nervously. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures we don't recognize. Their weapons are different from anything in our database. It doesn't matter, the Admiral said, but his voice lacked conviction. Primitive weapons are still primitive, no matter how different they look. On Earth, President Rodriguez was receiving daily reports from Admiral Blake. The fleet was growing rapidly, and morale was high. The entire planet was united in a way it had never been before. How many ships do we have operational? The President asked. 500 and counting, Admiral Blake replied. We'll have 2,000 by the deadline. Every ship designed specifically to fight aliens. And our people, ready to die for their freedom, General Parker said. The aliens wanted to enslave us. They're about to learn what happens when you threaten a human's family. Dr. Turner was putting the finishing touches on the fleet's most advanced systems. The aliens think they know what to expect, he told his team. They're about to get the surprise of their lives. As month 8 approached, the Fukoff Armada was nearly complete. Earth had transformed itself into a single massive war machine, united by a simple message. Humanity would rather die fighting than live as slaves. The aliens were about to learn that some species couldn't be conquered. Some species could only be destroyed, and humanity was definitely one of them. 8 months after the alien ultimatum, the Fukoff Armada was ready for war. 2,000 human ships floated in formation around Earth, each one bristling with weapons that had never been seen before in the galaxy. The fleet was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Fleet Admiral Carl Davis stood on the bridge of the EWS Retribution, watching his ships through the massive viewscreen. The flagship was 3 kilometers long and packed with the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for the battle that would decide Earth's fate. Status report, Admiral Davis said to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Beth Williams. All ships reporting ready, sir, she replied. Weapons charged, shields at maximum, crews at battle stations. The fleet is ready to show these aliens what humans can do. Major Chris Brown, the navigation specialist, looked up from his console. Sir, we're getting reports from our scout ships. The alien observation fleet is moving closer to Earth. They seem to be preparing for something. Admiral Davis nodded. They probably want to watch us surrender. They're about to get a very different show. In the research vessel used Discovery, Dr. Linda Foster was making final adjustments to the fleet's most secret weapon. She had spent months developing shields that could learn and adapt during combat. The technology was so advanced that even she wasn't sure how it worked. The shields will analyze incoming fire and adjust automatically, she explained to her team. Every shot they fire will make us stronger. It's like giving our ships a brain. Her assistant, Dr. Nancy Bell, looked worried. Linda, are you sure this will work? If the shields fail, we lose everything. They won't fail, Dr. Foster said with confidence. I've tested them 1,000 times. The aliens use the same weapons they've used for centuries. Our shields will adapt to them in minutes. Meanwhile, Marine Colonel Nick Thompson was giving final instructions to his boarding teams. These soldiers were trained to fight in zero gravity, in alien environments using weapons designed to work in space. Remember, he told his Marines, the aliens are bigger than us, but they're not used to real fighting. They've been bullying weak species for so long that they've forgotten what it's like to face an enemy that fights back. Sergeant Amy Clark, who had become one of the fleet's best fighter pilots, raised her hand. Sir, what if their ships are too tough for our weapons? Colonel Thompson smiled grimly. Then we'll find a way to make them tougher. That's what humans do. We adapt, we improvise, and we win. The alien observation fleet was commanded by Admiral Kethmer, a Zephyrian warrior, who had conquered dozens of species. He had been watching the human fleet with growing unease. Their ships were smaller than expected, but they moved with a precision that was unsettling. Status report, Admiral Kethmer demanded from his flagship. The human fleet consists of 2,000 vessels, his sensor officer reported. They're using an energy signature we don't recognize. Their weapons appear to be some kind of enhanced particle beam. Enhanced how? The Admiral asked. We don't know, sir. The technology is different from anything in our database. Admiral Kethmer felt a chill run down his spine. In 10,000 years of galactic conquest, every species had used variations of the same basic technology, but the humans were different. They had invented something new. Send a message to Chancellor Vexthal, he ordered. Tell him the humans may be more dangerous than we thought. On Earth, President Rodriguez was in the Situation Room watching the fleet prepare for battle. The entire planet was holding its breath, waiting to see if humanity would survive the next few hours. Any word from the aliens? She asked General Parker. They're sending the usual threats, he replied. Surrender now or be destroyed? Same message they've been sending for months. Dr. Turner was monitoring the fleet systems from his command center. All ships showing green across the board, he reported. Fusion reactors at full power, weapon systems online, AI networks functioning perfectly. The breakthrough in artificial intelligence had been Alex Kim's greatest achievement. He had created AI systems that could think like humans, making split-second decisions based on intuition and creativity rather than just logic. Our AI will confuse them, Alex explained to his team. They're used to fighting predictable enemies. Our ships will do things they never expect. Communications Officer Paula Green was monitoring alien transmissions. They're talking about us like we're insects, she reported. They think this will be over in minutes. Admiral Davis smiled coldly. Let them think that. Surprise is our greatest weapon. The human fleet had weapons that would shock the galaxy. Engineer Sam Mitchell had taken mining equipment and turned it into instruments of war. His particle beams could cut through any known metal, and his missiles were guided by AI that could think faster than any organic brain. The aliens build big, clumsy ships because they don't know how to build efficient ones, Sam explained to his weapons teams. Our ships are small and fast because we know how to make every component perfect. Fighter pilot Captain Steve Rogers was leading the first attack squadron. His ship was barely 50 meters long, but it was packed with more firepower than most alien cruisers. Remember, he told his pilots, we're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for every species these aliens have enslaved. We're fighting for freedom itself. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth, confident in their victory. They had faced primitive species before, and the result was always the same. The locals would fire a few desperate shots, then die screaming as superior. Alien technology destroyed them. Admiral Kethmer watched the human fleet on his screens. They're not running, he said, puzzled. Why aren't they running? Maybe they're too primitive to understand the danger, suggested his tactical officer. Or maybe, the Admiral said quietly, they're not as primitive as we thought. The first human ship to move was a destroyer, commanded by Captain Ellen Price. She took her vessel on a high-speed run past the alien fleet, testing their response time and weapons accuracy. They're slow, she reported to Admiral Davis. Really slow. Their targeting systems can't keep up with our speed. That was the moment Admiral Davis knew they could win. The aliens had superior numbers and bigger ships, but they were fighting the last war. They were using thousand-year-old tactics against an enemy that had invented warfare all over again. All ships, Admiral Davis announced to the fleet. This is it. Today we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't surrender. Today we prove that freedom is worth fighting for. Today we make them remember our name. The alien fleet opened fire first, sending massive energy bolts toward the human ships. But the humans were already moving, scattering in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully planned. "Shields holding," reported the weapons officer on the Retribution. "Their weapons are powerful but predictable. Our shields are adapting already." Dr. Foster watched her creation work perfectly. Every alien shot made the human shields stronger, smarter, more effective. The aliens were teaching their enemies how to defeat them. "Return fire," Admiral Davis ordered. The human fleet responded with weapons the aliens had never seen. Particle beams that could adjust their frequency in real time, missiles that could think and plan, energy weapons that grew stronger the longer they fired. The first alien ship to die was Admiral Kethmar's flagship. Captain Rogers led a fighter squadron in a coordinated attack that tore through the massive vessel's defenses like paper. "Impossible," Admiral Kethmar whispered as his ship exploded around him. This can't be happening, but it was happening. The human fleet was destroying alien ships faster than they could respond. Every human weapon was designed to exploit weaknesses the aliens didn't know they had. "All ships advance," Admiral Davis ordered. "Show them what happens when they threaten our home." The Fukoff Armada moved forward like a pack of wolves, coordinated and deadly. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that was faster, smarter, and more creative than anything they had faced in 10,000 years. The battle was just beginning, but the outcome was already clear. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Battle of Luna lasted 6 hours and changed everything. When it was over, the alien observation fleet was destroyed, and the galaxy knew that humanity was not going to surrender quietly. Captain Steve Rogers pulled his fighter away from the wreckage of the last alien cruiser. His small ship had taken down 3 vessels 10 times its size. Around him, human fighters were regrouping after the most one-sided battle in galactic history. "All fighters, return to base," came Admiral Davis's voice over the radio. "Outstanding work, people. The aliens just learned their first lesson about humanity." Only 3 alien ships had escaped the battle. They limped away toward deep space, carrying news that would terrify the Galactic Council. Admiral Kethmar was dead along with most of his fleet. The humans had weapons and tactics that made no sense. On the EWS Retribution, Admiral Davis was reviewing the battle recordings with his staff. Lieutenant Commander Beth Williams pulled up the tactical display, showing how the battle had unfolded. "They fought like they were still on a planet," she said. "Linear formations, predictable movements. They never adapted to 3-dimensional combat," Major Chris Brown nodded. "And their weapons were exactly what we expected. Big, powerful, but slow and clumsy. Our shields adapted to them in the first 10 minutes. Dr. Linda Foster was analyzing the wreckage through long-range sensors. "Their technology is impressive but wasteful. Everything is overbuilt, overpowered. They use brute force instead of elegant solutions." The turning point of the battle had come when engineer Danny Wright made a desperate decision. His mining ship was damaged and couldn't keep up with the fleet. Instead of retreating, he aimed his vessel at the alien flagship and engaged the engines at maximum power. The mining ship hit Admiral Kethmar's cruiser at nearly the speed of light. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a brief new star that announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. "Danny saved us all," Admiral Davis said quietly. "His sacrifice bought us the time we needed to finish the battle. But the victory came with a price." The humans had captured several alien survivors from the destroyed ships. And what they learned was disturbing. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Nancy Bell was treating the wounded aliens in the medical bay. They were strange creatures with too many limbs and eyes that glowed in the dark. But what shocked her most was their reaction to being helped. "They can't understand why we're treating their injuries," she reported to Admiral Davis. "They keep asking when the torture will begin." Intelligence Officer Commander Troy Adams was conducting interviews with the alien prisoners. What he learned made his blood run cold. "They've never encountered mercy before," he told the Admiral. "In their culture, prisoners are either killed immediately or tortured for information. The concept of treating enemies with dignity is completely foreign to them." The aliens were equally confused by human questions about their military structure and technology. They answered freely, not understanding that they were giving away vital intelligence. "They don't think we're a real threat," Commander Adams explained. "In their minds, we got lucky once, but we could never defeat the full might of the Galactic Council." One alien, a Zephyrian officer named Krikstal, was particularly talkative. He had been Admiral Kethmar's second in command and knew details about the Council's military forces. "Your species will die," he told Commander Adams matter-of-factly. "Chancellor Vextel will send the Grand Armada, 50,000 ships from 12 different species. Your little fleet will be crushed like insects." 50,000 ships, Adams repeated. "How long until they get here?" 2 months, Krikstal said. "Maybe 3. Time enough for you to say goodbye to your families." The news hit Earth like a thunderbolt. 50,000 alien ships were coming to destroy humanity. The Fukoff Armada had only 2,000 vessels, and many of those were damaged from the recent battle. President Rodriguez called an emergency meeting of world leaders. The Situation Room was packed with generals, admirals, and scientists, all trying to figure out how to fight impossible odds. 50,000 ships, General Parker said grimly. "Even if we win every engagement, the numbers are against us." "Then we don't fight fair," Admiral Blake replied. "We use every advantage we have. Speed, technology, and the fact that they still don't understand what they're fighting." Dr. Turner had been analyzing the alien technology captured from the battle. "Their ships are powerful but predictable," he reported. "They all use the same basic designs, the same weapons, the same tactics. If we can find a weakness in one ship, we can exploit it in all of them." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Programmer Alex Kim had been studying the alien computer systems, trying to understand how their AI worked. "They don't have real artificial intelligence," he announced to the assembled leaders. "They have very sophisticated programming, but no creativity, no intuition. Their computers can only follow pre-written instructions." "What does that mean for us?" President Rodriguez asked. "It means their entire fleet will fight the same way," Alex explained. "If we can predict their tactics, we can set traps for them." Engineer Sam Mitchell was already working on new weapons based on the intelligence gathered from the alien prisoners. "They use energy shields that are specifically tuned to stop their own weapons," he said. "But our weapons use different frequencies. We might be able to punch right through their defenses." The next month was a frenzy of preparation. Every shipyard on Earth worked around the clock to repair damaged vessels and build new ones. The fleet grew to 2,500 ships, still vastly outnumbered but better prepared. Marine Colonel Nick Thompson was training boarding parties for a new kind of warfare. "If we can't outfight them ship to ship, we'll board their vessels and fight them hand to hand," he told his troops. "Humans are smaller and faster than most aliens. In close combat, that's an advantage." Test pilot Amy Clark was working with Dr. Foster to develop new fighter tactics. "Their big ships can't target small, fast-moving fighters effectively," she reported. "If we can get inside their formations, we can do serious damage." Meanwhile, news of humanity's victory was spreading throughout the galaxy. On 1,000 enslaved worlds, people were whispering about the species that had defeated a Galactic Council fleet. For the first time in millennia, there was hope. Chancellor Vextel was not amused. He sat in his palace on the Zephyrian homeworld, reading reports from the 3 ships that had escaped the Battle of Luna. The humans had destroyed an entire observation fleet. It was impossible, but it had happened. "Assemble the Grand Armada," he ordered his military commanders. "Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. We will show the galaxy what happens when primitives dare to challenge their betters." Supreme Admiral Quinder, the most feared military leader in the galaxy, was given command of the Armada. He had conquered more worlds than any other being in galactic history. No enemy had ever survived his attention. "How many ships do you want?" he asked the Chancellor. "All of them," Vexthal replied. "I want every species in the galaxy to see the humans die. I want their destruction to be so complete that no one will ever dare to resist us again." The Grand Armada began assembling at the edge of human space. 50,000 ships from 12 different species, representing 10,000 years of galactic dominance. It was the largest military force ever assembled in the history of the galaxy. On Earth, long-range sensors detected the alien fleet's approach. The ships were still weeks away, but their sheer numbers were overwhelming. Admiral Davis stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the sensor readings with his senior staff. 50,000 confirmed, reported Major Brown. "Multiple ship types, multiple species." "It's everything they have." "Good," Admiral Davis said calmly. "If we're going to beat them, we might as well beat all of them at once." Lieutenant Commander Williams looked at him in surprise. "Sir, how can we possibly fight 50,000 ships?" Admiral Davis smiled. "The same way David fought Goliath. We find the right target and hit it with everything we have." Dr. Turner had been analyzing the alien fleet composition. "They're using a traditional formation," he reported. "Command ships in the center, protected by rings of smaller vessels. If we can take out their leadership, the rest of the fleet might fall apart." "Then that's what we'll do," Admiral Davis decided. "We'll punch through their lines, destroy their command structure, and watch their perfect formation crumble." The plan was desperate and dangerous, but it was the only chance humanity had. In 2 weeks, the largest battle in galactic history would begin. Earth would either win its freedom or die fighting for it. Either way, the galaxy would never forget the day humanity said no to tyranny. The Grand Armada arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark cloud covering the stars. 50,000 alien ships spread across space in perfect formation. Their weapons pointed toward the small blue planet that had dared to resist. Galactic Authority. Supreme Admiral Quinder stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Eternal Conquest. The ship was 20 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. Around him, his officers prepared for what they thought would be the easiest battle in galactic history. "Status report," the Admiral commanded. "All ships in position," his tactical officer replied. 50,000 vessels from 12 species, representing the full might of the Galactic Council. "The human fleet appears to be waiting for us in the asteroid belt." Admiral Quinder laughed. "The asteroid belt? They're using rocks as cover? How primitive." What the aliens didn't know was that the human fleet had spent weeks preparing the battlefield. Admiral Davis had positioned his 2,500 ships among the asteroids for a very specific reason. The rocks would hide his ships until the last moment, and the confined space would force the aliens to fight on human terms. "All ships maintain radio silence," Admiral Davis ordered from the EWS Retribution. "Wait for my signal, let them come to us." The alien fleet moved forward in their traditional formation. Command ships in the center, heavy cruisers forming protective rings around them, fighters and destroyers on the outside. It was the same formation they had used to conquer 1,000 worlds. Dr. Linda Foster watched from the research vessel used Discovery as the alien ships approached. Her shields had been upgraded based on data from the previous battle. Now they could adapt to any weapon in seconds. "Shields ready," she reported to Admiral Davis. "The aliens are about to learn that their weapons are useless against us." "Captain." Ellen Price was hidden behind a large asteroid with her fighter squadron. Her ships were powered down, invisible to alien sensors. Around her, 200 other fighter groups waited in similar hiding spots. Remember, she told her pilots, wait until they're committed to their attack. Once they start shooting, they won't be able to change course quickly. Marine Colonel Nick Thompson was aboard a boarding ship with his assault teams. Their job was to capture alien command vessels and disrupt their coordination. It was the most dangerous mission in the fleet. We're going after their flagship, he told his Marines. If we can take out their Supreme Admiral, their whole formation will collapse. The alien fleet reached the asteroid belt and began their attack. Massive energy beams lanced out toward the hidden human ships, but most of the shots hit empty space, or harmless rocks. Now, Admiral Davis ordered, the human fleet came alive all at once. Ships emerged from behind asteroids, weapons blazing. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies they couldn't see coming. Captain Steve Rogers led the first wave of fighters, diving down from above the alien formation. His squadron hit the alien command ships before they could react, their advanced weapons cutting through shields that had never been tested against human technology. Direct hit on alien flagship, he reported. Their shields are down to 60%. The battle became a three-dimensional nightmare for the aliens. Human ships attacked from every direction, using the asteroids as cover and weapons. Commander Josh Lee led bomber wings that pushed asteroids into alien ships, using gravity and momentum as weapons. This is impossible, Admiral Quinder shouted as his flagship shook under human fire. How are they moving so fast? His tactical officer was frantically trying to coordinate the alien response. Sir, their ships are too small and too fast. Our targeting computers can't lock onto them. The aliens' greatest advantage had become their greatest weakness. Their ships were so large that they couldn't maneuver quickly in the confined space of the asteroid belt. The humans darted between the massive vessels like wasps attacking elephants. Dr. Turner's secret weapon activated 20 minutes into the battle. A quantum disruption field spread out from the human fleet, targeting the specific frequency used by alien shields throughout the galaxy. Suddenly, every alien ship found their defenses failing. Shields that had protected them for centuries simply stopped working. The technological advantage that had made them masters of the galaxy was gone. Shields failing across the fleet, reported Admiral Quinder S. Weapons Officer. All ships reporting defensive systems offline. How is that possible? The Admiral demanded. Before anyone could answer, Colonel Thompson's boarding ship crashed through the flagship's hull. Marines in powered armor poured into the alien vessel. Fighting their way toward the bridge, the aliens had never faced humans in close combat before. They were bigger and stronger, but humans were faster and more aggressive. Marine Sergeant Amy Clark led her squad through the ship's corridors, taking down alien defenders with weapons designed for zero-gravity fighting. Bridge secured, Colonel Thompson reported as his Marines captured the alien command center. We have their Supreme Admiral. Admiral Quinder found himself staring at creatures he had dismissed as primitive animals. The humans were small but fierce, their eyes burning with determination he had never seen before. Your fleet is finished, Colonel Thompson told him. Order your ships to surrender. Never, Admiral Quinder snarled. The Galactic Council does not surrender to primitives. Then you'll die with your ships, the colonel replied. The battle raged for 18 hours. Human ships used tactics the aliens had never encountered, attacking in coordinated swarms that overwhelmed their enemies' ability to respond. The asteroid belt became a graveyard of alien vessels. Captain Ellen Price's fighters had destroyed 3 alien cruisers when she spotted the enemy's weakness. All fighters, target their command ships, she ordered. Without leadership, they can't coordinate their defense. One by one, the alien command vessels fell to human attacks. Each loss made the remaining ships more confused and desperate. The perfect formation that had conquered the galaxy was falling apart. Admiral Davis watched from the Retribution as the alien fleet began to break. All ships, press the attack. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. The final blow came when Engineer Sam Mitchell fired the fleet's most powerful weapon at the alien flagship. The concentrated particle beam punched through the massive ship's hull like paper, causing a chain reaction that tore the vessel apart. Admiral Quinder died with his ship, taking with him 10,000 years of galactic supremacy. The remaining alien vessels began to retreat, their formation shattered and their will broken. "Cease fire," Admiral Davis ordered as the last alien ships fled. "Let them go. Let them carry the news to their masters." The Battle of the Asteroid. Belt was over. 30,000 alien ships had been destroyed, and the survivors were fleeing in panic. The Galactic Council's Grand Armada, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, had been defeated by a species they considered primitive. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. On enslaved worlds throughout known space, people looked up at the stars and whispered about the humans who had said no to tyranny. Chancellor Vexthal received the news in his palace on the Zephyrian homeworld. Half of his fleet was gone, his supreme admiral was dead, and the humans were still fighting. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. "Send a message to the humans," he ordered his surviving commanders. "Tell them we wish to negotiate." Ambassador Lisa Carter received the alien message aboard the EWS Retribution. After a year of threats and ultimatums, the Galactic Council was asking for peace talks. "What should we tell them?" Admiral Davis asked. Carter smiled. "Tell them they can come to Earth if they want to talk. But they come unarmed, and they come as equals." Within months, the galaxy began to change. Dozens of species declared independence from the Galactic Council and asked to join the new Terran Federation. The age of alien supremacy was over. The Fukoff Armada became the Federation Navy, protecting the innocent and ensuring that no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction. Earth had shown the galaxy that freedom was worth fighting for. And across the stars, whenever tyrants threatened the weak, people would remember the day humanity looked at impossible odds and said one simple word: "No."